Well, today we're going to talk about bicycle and pedestrian safety laws, and we'll chat about that until we wait for the callers.
Yeah, so, we see this quite often, more than you'd like to, but, when you're a pedestrian or you're on a bicycle and you're struck by a car or have to dive out of the way from a car, something along those lines, you do have the opportunity to bring a claim against the driver of that vehicle for any injury that you sustain. However, just because you're a pedestrian or just because you're on a bicycle doesn't mean that the vehicle is immediately at fault. And you've got to remember that Alabama is a contributorily negligent state. And that means if you contribute to the cause of the collision, no matter how slight, Alabama law is going to bar you from recovery. And so you have to follow the rules of the road, even if you're a pedestrian or you're a bicyclist. And what that means is, if you're a pedestrian, you need to use a sidewalk when one's available. If there's no sidewalk available and you're on the side of the road, you're to walk against traffic, right? And so if you were on the other side of the road walking with traffic and were struck and injured, then that's going to give the insurance company an opportunity to deny that claim. They're going to say, look, you contributed to cause the collision because you weren't following the rules of the road. You were on the wrong side of the road. And they don't have to make it all your fault. They just have to make it a tiny bit your fault. And the same is true for bicyclists. If you're riding on the road, you're supposed to ride with traffic, not against it, so the opposite of a pedestrian. And so you need to be familiar with those rules of the road. We've seen, incidences where someone's crossing a street, but they're not using the crosswalk, which is 15 feet away, just a little further down the road. And the rules of the road are going to say that you're to cross at a crosswalk if one is available. And so to the extent that's available, you need to cross at a crosswalk. If not, you need to cross at an intersection. If you're just jaywalking and get struck, you're going to give the insurance company, again, an opportunity to deny that claim. They're going to say, hey, look, we're so sorry what happened to you, but, you were out in the middle of the road and you contributed to the cause of the collision.
I know when I'm on the road and there are bicyclists or even a motorcycle in front of me, it almost shows your depth of perception. You're so used to something wide with two tail lights. Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I find myself struggling to judge, and I usually try to get around them. Yeah. But does that come into play in these decisions that a bicycle on the road it complicates traffic?
It does complicate traffic, but it is a situation where the bicyclist has every right to be on the road, just the same as the driver of a motor vehicle. And so it's not a situation where you can, run them off the road by swinging around them or something else. You've got to respect them on the road, and you have to follow the rules of the road as well. So it can be a situation that, we've all gotten stuck behind a bicycle before, and you just got to have a little patience until it's possible to safely pass that bicyclist.
And let me clarify, I professionally pass.
Okay.
I don't just run them off the road.
Sure
I want to make sure, yes.
Excellent.
Now with this summer weather, we know that more people are going outside enjoying the air if they can stand the heat and everything. So are you starting to see more instances of these cases?
Historically, we do see more situations in the summertime, okay? And that's going to partially be because school's out. And you see this in the neighborhoods. Kids are out playing in the street during the daytime where they weren't a few months ago. And so it is something you see. There are kids riding their bicycles to the pool and different places. And so, as a driver on the roadway, you have a duty to keep a proper lookout for pedestrians. And that is especially important in neighborhoods during the summertime because you do see, children going to friends' houses, children walking, people walking their dogs. It's just much more common in the summer.
Yeah.
I believe we have a caller.
We do.
David, I believe, if I'm not... Am I right? David? David, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi, David. Go ahead with your question.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I've got a similar question in reference to the handicap policy.
Okay.
What is when you're walking out anywhere and around downtown Huntsville and you have drivers are going through, and a friend of mine had want me to go somewhere, but the other guy, being I don't drive and the other guy is. I'm curious what the actual law or rule is for the passenger side of things, because like you guys are talking about reference to the I'm interested in what the rule is for the handicap, what the passenger side is, as far as having. I know if you're on the passenger side, you have to be belted, the seatbelt law. I'm wondering what the objective is for the handicap policy as far as non-drivers on the.
I mean, as a non-driver, as a passenger in the vehicle, your real, responsibility is just going to be the one you mentioned, which would be, to have your seatbelt on, to not be distracting the driver, and allow the driver to safely make operations in the vehicle.
I can't stress it enough. If you're in the car, you need your seatbelt on anyway.
That's right.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.